Chulin Daf Yutes. We're starting 10 lines from the top. The Omer Rabbi Eliyahu Raful. Mugremes the Rabbanon. What the Rabbanon, the Chachamim of our Mishnah, hold is considered Mugremes and is puzzle. Like they say in the Mishnah that if you went above the Tabas Gedola any bit, it's puzzle. Is Ksher Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda. Is, as the Mishnah says, Kasher according to Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda. And Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda's Mugremes, which means if he says that if a majority of the knife cut above the Tabas HaGdoila, then it's a problem. Only if it's minority, it's fine. That still is Kasher Rabbi Chanina ben Atignus. Rabbi Chanina ben Atignus, who said in the Mishnah, Daf Yomi Chullin Page, that Mugremes is Kasher, he's going even in Rabbi Yossi's Shita, that says that a minority that says the majority has to be under the Tabas Gedola. He says even if the majority is not below the Tabas Gedola, the majority is above the Tabas Gedola, it is kosher. Says the Gemara Pshita, of course that's what he means. Says the Gemara, no, Ma'udatema, I would think Rabbi Chanina ben Atignus is going ad Rabbanon Koi. He means to say, when he says Mugremes is kosher, he means the Rabbanon's Mugremes is kosher, meaning he's really agreeing with Rabbi Yossi. Kamash Malan, that not. Kamash Malan, Rabbi Shua ben Levi, that he argues and he holds that he argues even on Rabbi Yossi, and he holds that the majority doesn't have to be under the Tabas Gedola. Within the Tabas Gedola. Rabbi Yossi holds the majority has to be within the Tabas Gedola. The Chacham hold everything has to be within the Tabas Gedola, and Rabbi Chanina ben Atignus holds that nothing has to be within the Tabas Gedola. It can be all on top. Says the Gemara, how do you know? Maybe he's just coming to argue with the Rabbanan and really he agrees with Rabbi Yossi. Says the Gemara, Imken Heid Alei mi Bayalei. The Mishnah, the Brisa should say Heid Alei. He testifies on him because Rabbi Yossi was the one who was talking in the Brisa, and then the Brisa continues and says Heid Rabbi Yossi, Heid Rabbi Chanina ben Atignus al Mugremes Yikshera. If Rabbi Chanina is going specifically on Rabbi Yosef's Shita, so then he should say Heid Alei. He testified about the Rabbi Yossi Shita from the fact that he just says Hayid, plain. That means he is arguing on all the ones who we know of, all the ones who hold Mugremes is puzzle. So that must be he's arguing not only Rabbi Yosef, even on Rabbanan. V'hilchasok Rabbi Chanina ben Atignus. Says the Gemara, the halachas of Rabbi Chanina, Dekai Rabbi Nachman Kavasei, because Rabbi Nachman agrees with him. Continues the Gemara. Amar Rav Huna Amar Rabasi Machlokes b'sheshochat shnei shlish v'higrim shlish. The machlokes between Rabbi Yosef and Chachamim in the Mishnah is when you slaughter 2/3 of the koneh, and then the higrim shlish, and you went out of place at the last third. You went above the Tabas Gedola. The Rabbanan Sarvei Kula Shchita Be'inon b'Tabas Gedola. Rabbanan hold the entire Shchita has to be within the Tabas Gedola. Rabbi Yosef read the Savar Rubak Kula. Rabbi Yossi holds no, as long as you have Raiv, it's as if you did the entire thing, and that's fine. The majority is fine. Aval, but in the case where Higrim Shlish, let's say you started off the Shchita bad, you started off the Shchita above the Tabas Gedola, then Shochat Shnei Shlish, the rest of the 2/3 you slaughtered correctly, Divrei Akol Psula. Then everyone would agree, both Rabbi Chachamim and Rabbi Yosef would agree that it's possible. Why? Because as the life leaves the animal, Be'inan ruba b'shchita. You need that the majority of what's cut was done b'shchita, which means that when you start cutting with the kaneh, and as you reach halfway through cutting the kaneh, that's when we say that the life is over. The life of the animal is over. And so if you started the shchita out of place, and then you went within the middle third of your shchita, you hit the midpoint of the animal, and that's when the life left the animal. That means that life is leaving when the majority of what's causing the life to leave was not done with the shchita, it was done with hagrama, because the first shlish you did was with hagrama, and that's a problem. Because we need that the actual killing of the animal should be done through a cutting that is in a place of shchita. Amalei Reb Chisda, says Reb Chisda to Reb Huna Adarabba. Maybe just the opposite. Leima Mar Ibcha, you should say the opposite. Machlokes b'shehigrim shlish v'shachat shnei shlish. That's where the machlekes is. When you started off bad and you were higrim shlish, and then you slaughtered the 2/3 correctly. Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda savar. Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda holds midi dehava achatzi kane pogum. It's the same exact thing as the case of chatzi kane pogum. Let's say you slaughter an animal, and before you slaughter it, the animal had in the kana and the trachea, it had a hole. That's fine. We only hold that if an animal has a hole in the veshet, that's when it's considered treif and it's a problem. But in a kana, the animal can have a hole up to half. If it has more than half, then it's considered treif. But if it has a hole in the kana up to half, then it's fine. So if you have in the kana a hole, let's say you have a hole up to half, and then you take a knife, you stick it into the incision that's already there, and then you slice off only a little bit, causing the kana to be sliced through a majority of its width. You just now did a shchita on the kana, even though you only sliced a very small part, but because it was already cut before, and that's fine, it's not treif. As long as you add that last bit to call it a majority of shchita, that's fine. So says Rav Chisda, maybe Rabbi Yossi holds that even if you were higrim shlish, it's fine, because we know that if in the beginning of the kana it's already cut, it still can be a kosher shchita, and therefore maybe Rabbi Yossi holds that if you were magrim shlish, and then the rest of the 2/3 you slaughtered okay, it should be fine. Just like the case of chatzi kana pogum. Rabbanon say back to him, no, hasam makam shchita. Over there, when do we say that a chatzi kana pogum you can slaughter okay, even if up to half of the kana is already pogum, is already cut, that's only okay because it's makam shchita. Over there, it's the place of the shchita, which means at least over there in that situation, the life of the animal is leaving as a result of a cut in the kana, which is a place of shchita. But when it's agrama, when you cut above the tabasco, and that's not a place of shchita, and the life is leaving the animal as a result of a cut that's not in the place of shchita, that, according to Chachamim, is going too far, and we have to say that it's not okay. And that's the machlokes between Rabbi Yossi and Rabbanan. Aval, but says Rabbi Chisda, if shochat shnei shlish, v'higrim shlish, in the first case that you were saying, Rav Huna, that divrei hakosher, everyone agrees that that's kosher. Why? That's not because we have a Mishnah further on that ruba shel echad kamayu. Most of one of the simanim is like the entirety of the siman. We hold rubai kikulai, and that's fine. So since everyone holds rubai kikulai, or we have the Mishnah later on which says it stam, that everyone says rubai kikulai, so then Chachamim should agree that if you shech the first 2/3 okay, and then the last third you mess up, it should be fine because you had the majority in the right place. So Amalei of Yosef says Rav Yosef back to Rav Chisda, Man neimalon dahu ruba dehasam lav Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. How do you know that when the Mishnah says later on that all you have to do is shech the majority of one of the simanim, the majority of the trachea, and the majority of the esophagus? Maybe that is Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda, and Rabbanan do not agree to that. Dilma Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda katani lo. Amalei Abaye says Abaye tu kol rubi da alma Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. You can tell me every time we invoke the concept of majority, and you can tell me it's also Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. Of course, everyone agrees with the majority. Everyone agrees with the concept of right. Says the Gemara, Amalei ano ruba d'shchita kamina. I mean a raiv that's said in the context of ilchos shchita. That I'm saying is maybe Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. Meaning, since we find over here he says the concept of raiv, and over there he says the concept of raiv, so we're going to say maybe we're going to play a matching game and say this is all Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. and the Rabbanan don't necessarily agree. But of course, we know that in general, in the rest of Shas, we would assume when Rav is not only with Yosef Bar Yehuda. Only over here, the Shaman Elahu the Pligi, that we hear the Chachamim in our situation arguing on the application of the concept of Rav, then we would say maybe they also argue further on. And therefore, who are we to say that Chachamim hold that you only have to shecht Rav of the Siman, and therefore if you're Magram at the latter point, it's kosher. Lishnachrin, continues the Gemara. Another version of what Rav Huna was saying. Amrila, some say, Amr Rav Huna. Amr Rav Asi. Rav Huna says in the name of Rav Asi, Machlekes shehigim shlish v'shachat shnei shlish. The Machlekes, he starts the other way. Machlekes is really when he starts off with Agrama, higrim shlish, the first third he did out of place, and then shachat shnei shlish, and then he slaughters 2/3. The rest of the 2/3 okay. The holes. Just like we explained before, he holds it's okay, just like when you have already a hole in the kaneh, and still it's fine. So it's over here. So the first third doesn't make a difference because you can have up to half of the kaneh missing. The Rabbanan hold no, hasamakam shchita. Over there it's only true because at the end of the day, the cut in the kaneh was in a place of shchita. Over here, it's not a makom of shchita. Over here, when the hagrama was done in the first third, then when the animal dies, it's not a result of a cut that happened in the makom shchita. Aval shachat shnei shlish, but if you slaughter shnei shlish correctly, and then higrim shlish, and then at the end, the last third you mess up and go out of place, then divrei kol kosher. That's none. Like it says in the Mishnah later on, Ruba Shlechot Kamayu, the majority of a siman is like it. The majority of the siman is like the entirety of the siman, and therefore all you have to do is shecht the majority of the siman. And therefore, even the Chacham would agree in the situation that it's fine, because you shechted most of it okay. Maskif la Rav Chisda asks Rav Huna, no, man leimalan dahuru with the hasam, lav Rabbi Bar Yehuda. How do you know that the Rav later on is not only according to Rabbi Yehuda? How are you assuming that the Chachamim hold that Rav works within a siman? So, Dilma, Rabbi Bar Yehuda katanila, maybe it's specifically him. And Rabbanan argue, Amalei Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef tells me, Katu kol Rabbi Alma, Rabbi Bar Yehuda, are all the Ravs in the world Rabbi Bar Yehuda? To assume that that's going only according to Rabbi Yehuda, Amalahu, he doesn't make no anu rubu de shchita kamina. I mean, only within shchita. Within shchita, the shaman elu deplik that we find that there's already machlekes, so I would assume maybe that the later statement of the Mishnah that says that Rav is enough, maybe again that's only going according to Rabbi Yosef bar Chanina, and you have no Rabbi bar Yehuda, and you have no proof to say that Chachamim also believe that all you have to shecht is Rav. Says the Gemara, Higrim shlish, v'shochat shlish, v'higrim shlish. Let's say you started off, the first third of your shchita was out of place. Shochat shlish, then you shechted a third correctly. You went down and shechted a third correctly. And then higrim shlish, then you go back up with the knife, and the latter third of the shchita is also out of place. What is the halacha over there? So Rav Huna Amar Rav Huna says in the name of Rav Kshera. Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav Treifa. So we have two different opinions as to what Rav held, whether it's kosher or whether it's treif. Rav Huna Amar Rav Kshera. Rav Huna in the name of Rav holds it's kosher. Kinafka chiyusa, because at the end of the day, when the life left the animal, kinafka chiyusa, b'shchita kanafka, it left b'shchita. We hold that the life leaves the animal at the midway point, and the middle third you shechted correctly. So that's okay, because at the middle third, when the life left, it was done with a good shchita. It was in the right place. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Treifa. Rabbi Yehuda holds this treif. Why? Because Be'inan Ruba B'Shchita. His reasoning is that at the end of the day you need a Rav Shchita, and over here, since the first third was done out of place and the last third was done out of place, you don't have a majority of good Shchita in the Kaneh. The Leikan, it's not there. How about the next case? Shochat Shlish, V'Higrim Shlish, and then Shochat Shlish. Over here, it's the inverse. If you were the first third you did correctly, the middle third you went out of place, and then you continued downwards and went toward the right place. Shochat shlish, higrim shlish, and then shochat shlish. Rabbi Yehuda Rav holds is kosher. Asu shailu le Rav Huna. They asked this to Rav Huna. Amar lahu treifa. He said it's treif. Shomer Rav Yehuda ikbad. Rav Yehuda got angry. He said, why is Rav Huna arguing with me? Omar tarifna umachsher. What I made treif in the previous case, you said it's kosher. Umachsharna tarif. And what I said is kosher over here, you said it's treif. Omar Rav Huna says, Rav Huna shapir kamikbid. He was right to be angry at me. Chada, first of all, the iyu shmiya leminei. First of all, when he said it's kosher, he has the right to say in the name of Rav it's kosher because he actually heard from him. I'm just conjecturing. Ihu shama leminei de Rav. He heard it from Rav. V'ana leishmili. I didn't hear it from Rav, so I'm just conjecturing, and therefore you should go with him. He's right. The oid ha'ikaru b'shchita, and he's right because over there there is a majority of shchita, and therefore it should be fine. Amalei Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda tells him back, Lo tehadrubach. You should not be chayzer and not say that, and not agree to Rabbi Yehuda that it's kosher. The imkain mafsadat lo lekamaisa dahasan, because then you have to retract your first statement in the case where you were magrim shlish, shoichet shlish, and then magrim shlish. My taima kamachsheris. Why did you say it's kosher over there? Because all you care about is that at the point when the life leaves the animal, it was done correctly with shchita. So according to you over here, in this case, when the middle third was done by agrama, you have to say it's fussel because all you care about is that the time that the life left the animal, it was done in a correct way. So over here, in this case, when the first third was shchita, the middle third was agrama, and the last third was shchita, you have a problem because the middle third was done by agrama and it's not good, and when the life left the animal was done by agrama, and therefore you have to stick to your opinion because one follows from the other. Ikla Rav Nachman l'Sura. Rav Nachman came to Surah. They asked him, Shochat Shlish, if you shechted a Shlish, then Hegrim Shlish, and then Shochat Shlish. Mahu. Amar Lahu, Lav Hainu de Rabbi Elazar bar Yomi. Is this not the case of Rabbi Elazar bar Yomi? The Amar Rabbi Elazar bar Yomi, Shchita ha'asuya kimasreik kshera. Shchita that's done like a comb is kosher. So he's saying it's like a comb because you went up, then down, then up. And he says it's kosher. Says the Gemara, no, v'dilmo b'makom shchita. Maybe it's all in the place of shchita. Now let's say all within the correct place, within the length of the kaneh, you go up, you go down, and then you go up and down, and you make it, and it looks like a comb. Says the Gemara, why do you have to say it? It's pasha. Now the tema, I would think, be'inan shchita mifura'as. I think you need a shchita. I would think that maybe if you do it like a comb, it's not good, because you need a shchita that's revealed. It needs to look like a shchita, as opposed to if it's up and down, it doesn't really look like a shchita because you don't see a direct slicing, a straight slicing through the kaneh. Therefore, like a kamash milano, you don't need a revealed, you don't need it to look like a shchita that it's clearly sliced, as long as you actually did slice through the kaneh, even if you went up and down a little bit, it's still considered fine. Continues the Gemara, Yosiv Rabbi Abba. Rabbi Abba was sitting achayir the Rav Kana, behind Rav Kana. V'yosef Rav Kana came to Rav Yehuda. Rav Kana was sitting in front of Yehuda. V'yosef v'ka Omar, and Rav Yehuda was saying, Shochat shlish, v'higrim shlish, v'shochat shlish. The case when the middle third was problematic, Mahu, Omar leish ch'tasek sheira. Because Raiv was done correctly, in the right place. Higrim shlish, v'shochat shlish, v'higrim shlish. Let's say the middle one was good. Now, Omar leish ch'tasek psula. It's possible because you don't have the majority in the right place. Shochat b'makom nekev. If you slaughter in a place where there's a hole in the kaneh, mahu amar leish ch'tasek kshera. It's kosher, like we said before. Chatzi kaneh pagum. You have up to half. If there's a hole, it's fine. Shochat upaga by nekev. Let's say you shechted on the side of a kaneh where everything was okay, there was no hole, and then you reach a hole. Amarlei shchitas psula. Then it's puzzle. If you reach a hole on the other side, you shechted the majority of the kaneh, and then on the other side it was already cut. There was already a hole there, naturally from something, from an ailment that the animal had. He says then it's puzzle. Azal Rabbi Abba went Amru Kamed Rabbi Elazar. he said this statement in front of Rabbi Elazar. Also, Rabbi Elazar Amar Kamed Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Elazar in front of Rabbi Yochanan, Amar he told him, Maishna, he says, what's the difference between the two cases? Who cares if I started on the side where the nekev was, or I started on the other side and then got to the nekev? Amar lei shachat b'makom nekev, naise k'moshe shachat oived kechavim v'gomar Yisrael. If you shecht in the place where the nekev is, then it's as if a non-Jew slaughtered the beginning of the kaneh, and then you gomar Yisrael, and therefore it's fine. But shachat upaga by nekev. But if you slaughtered and then after you slaughtered, then at the end of the kaneh there was a hole, then it's nice that kimisha shachat Yisrael. It's as if Yisrael started it. The gomar oived kechavim, and a non-Jew ended it. And in both of these cases, we mean to say that the latter person, the one who ended it, is the one who really did the entire shechita, because the first one didn't do the majority. The first one only did a minority, and the last one is the one who finished it off. He did the majority of the shechita, and therefore he says that in the case where you start off slicing and then you reach a hole, then it's as if a Jew starts the slaughtering, and then when you reach the hole, it's an automatic hole. It's an automatic shechita, and that's as if it's a non-Jew who did it, and the non-Jew did the majority. He tells him, "Oived kechavim, oived kechavim." Non-Jew, get out of here. He didn't like what he was saying. You could say non-Jew as much as you want. He doesn't agree with his reasoning. Rava says, Shapir, it's good what he said on him, that he says you're saying non-Jew too much, that you're parallel to the non-Jew slaughtering is not okay. Bishlam Hasam, over there in the case where a non-Jew finished off the shechita, from this that a Jew had to slaughter most of it. But he didn't slaughter he didn't slaughter the majority when the life leaves when it's through the non-Jew slaughtering that the life is leaving the animal. But over here in our case, he actually did a majority of shechita. Mali b'makom nekev. What do I care if it's in a place where there was a nekev already? Mali paga by nekev. What do I care if he hits the nekev after already starting to slice? Basically, when a non-Jew slaughters it, so if it wasn't slaughtered a majority by a Jew, so then it's the non-Jew who's finishing it off and slaughtering the majority of the shechita, and that's a problem because the non-Jew is the one that's officiating the shechita through taking the life with the majority of the kaneh, with slicing the majority of the kaneh. But in this case, when the nekev, the pgam in the kaneh that's in there already can't be more than half, because if it's more than half, it's treif. So we're discussing a case where it's less than half, and if so, when you slice it, I don't care where the pgam is, whether the pgam is where you started or where you're going to end shechting. It doesn't make a difference because at the end of the day, the shechita is being done through you slicing the majority of the kaneh, and therefore it doesn't make a difference. It says the Mishnah, if you shecht from on the side of the neck. But if you do milika is what we do with birds that are brought as sacrifices in the Beis Hamikdash. You take your finger, the Kohen takes his fingernail and separates the bird's head by pressing down with his fingernail, and there's no shechita done, it's just done with a fingernail, and you pull the head off. So if you're hamaylik min hatzadim, if you do milika from this side, milika is supposed to be done from the back of the neck, from the oiref, we'll see. But let's say you do milika from the side, milika psula is possible. Ashaychet min ha'oiref, shechita psula. If you shecht from the back of the neck, a regular animal, you do shechita from the back of the neck, it's possible. Hamaylik min ha'oiref, but if you do it from the back, milika sheira, it's kasha. Hashaychet min hatzavar, if you shecht from the neck, meaning lower down in the neck, shitas ekshera. Hamoilik min tzavar, if you do milika from the tzavar, it's not okay. Milika se psula. Shekola oiref kasher lemilika, because the entire oiref is kasher lemilika. V'chol tzavar kasher l'shchita. The entire neck is kasher l'shchita nimsa. So we find that what's kosher b'shchita is possible for malika. What's kosher for malika is possible for shchita. So anything that's kosher for malika is good for shchita. Anything that's good for shchita, anything that's good for malika is not good for shchita. Anything that's good for shchita is not good for malika. Each have the opposite dinim with them. Rashi explains when the Mishnah says shoichet min tzavar and oiref is and malika is min oiref. That's, he says it's simple. That's where it's supposed to be. That's not the chiddush. The chiddush is just trying to contrast between shchita and malika. Says the Gemara, my oiref. What do we mean by oiref? If you mean to tell me it's really the back of the neck, but we mean the top of the neck that's behind the face. That's what you mean, the top of the neck. That's the place where you must do malika. My ir yeshoichet. Why are you telling that if you do shchita on the oiref, on the top part of the neck that's behind the head, then not only is shchita possible, I feel moilek nami, even malika is not good, because it says mimul arpai. It says it has to be opposite the oiref. What does mimul means opposite of? What does opposite of the oiref mean? Mimul arpai amrachmana v'loy arpai, not the actual oiref, not the actual what's behind the head, that part of the neck. That's not good. Elamai oiref mamish. Elamai oiref, what do you mean by oiref? Mimul oiref. Opposite of the oiref, meaning further down the neck. Kediktani seifa, like the seifa says, kol oiref kasher malika. The entire oiref is kasher for malika, which means further down. And if oiref means just the top part of the oiref, what's behind the face, then what does it mean kol ha'oiref? Well, continues the Gemara. Minohani mili. How do we know this? How do we know that where the oiref is? How do we know that malika has to be done mimul ha'oiref? Says the Gemara, D'tana Rabbanan, mimul arpai. The pasuk says mimul arpai, mul haroya es oiref. Opposite the person who's looking at the oiref. Is someone facing the neck of a person? So then that's where you should check. It's opposite of the person who's looking. V'chenu oimer, just like it says in the pasuk, v'hu yoshev mimuli, and he is sitting opposite me. The oimer, and the pasuk says, the pasuk continues, kifanu elai oref v'lei panim. They turned to me their neck and not their face. So from the first pasuk, you see that it's a pasuk by Balak, that he was talking about the nation of Israel, that they were encamping opposite him. So you see that it means opposite of the person looking at something. So too, when it says mimul arpa, it means opposite of the person who's looking at the oref, which means you do it at the neck. Ma'ida Omer, why do you need two psukim? Says the Gemara, why do you need the second pasuk of kifanu elai oref leiponim? Says the Gemara, v'chitema oref gufei lo yadinan hecha. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know where the oref is. To know the neda that we would know where is muldi, where the opposite of it is. Meaning maybe I don't know where the oref itself is, and therefore you need a pasuk to teach me where the oref is, to know where mul ha'oref is. Tashma, therefore we need the second pasuk, kipanu elai oref elai panim, because they turn to me their face, their neck and not their face. So you see michlal the oref lahadi panim. You see that the oref is the opposite of the panim. It's behind the panim. So now we know the word oref means neck, and from the other pasuk of hu yoshev mimuli, that teaches me that mimul means opposite of, and now we know that it's opposite the person who's standing, who's facing the oref.